I'm just very excited about everything that I learned from you with going through this program so far. I feel like I'm just starting to scratch the surface. All women go through menopause. Oh, everybody goes through that. So it's just another phase of life, but it doesn't have to be miserable where I can't move, where it's depressing. I'm having a blast right now. I'm really enjoying my life. I don't only feel better in such a short period of time. My friends, my family, they'll say, wow, you lost a lot of weight. Wow, you look good. Your face looks calmer. But even my demeanor is calmer. I'm still looking forward to doing a lot more. I'm not stopping here. Very excited about everything that I learned from you with going through this program so far, learning about me, learning about my body, how my body works. I feel like I'm just starting to scratch the surface.
Maybe you can give us a picture of before we started working together, like what were you struggling with the most?
Before we started working together, I was exhausted. I was always tired. I was too tired to even chew my food. Like the idea of eating was, I wish somebody could chew the food and I will just get it somehow without having to go through that. All I can remember is just being exhausted, like absolutely no energy. I had a lot of digestive issues. If I ate, I felt sick, nauseous. If I didn't eat, I felt sick, I felt nauseous. Nothing would sit right. And I was gluten-free and dairy-free for a long time. If I ate salads, I would be bloated and then start to burp. So nothing sat well with me. And the fact that I wasn't getting enough nutrients and eating well, it didn't really help. My mental focus was really bad. And I realized I have to write papers. I'm present in classes. I can't just black out. But that's where I was before we started. I've been trying to find things and I've tried other things. And it was just to get me to a certain point. And it was like physical therapy. You do well, it feels great when you're doing it. But then when you're on your own, the pain comes back, everything else comes back. And so even though I had quite a bit of progress, it wasn't something that I was able to sustain. And so I was in search for, like, I just want to feel better. Needless to say, at my age, the weight that I've gained, like I've always been underweight. Even when I was pregnant, my doctors were like, yeah, no, you need to gain more weight. So for me to gain that much weight in such a short period of time, it affected everything. It hurt my knees, my ankles, and it made me feel like I didn't have the energy to walk. And if I walk, I'm in pain. So it just made everything worse. It didn't matter. I was not able to lose the weight, even if I wasn't eating the amount of calories that I should be eating. Like I wasn't eating well. And doctors really didn't help. Like you see the doctor and the doctor's saying, well, cut your calories. I mean, I can't cut my calories more. Like I wasn't eating enough in the first place. So that was my condition. It's kind of like I hit rock bottom.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like,
That's
all right, something's got to change because this wasn't good.
That's what happens when you hit rock bottom.
Yeah.
Right?
And then I met you, and it was like the best thing ever that happened to me. It really was. There's a lot of things that I learned. So now I don't only feel better in such a short period of time. I'm conscious of what I'm eating. I love cookies, yes, but I wasn't one to sit and eat a whole box of cookies. If I had 2 cookies in one sitting, that was a lot for me. So it wasn't that I was munching on things. I still want my cookies, my cookie after meal. I'm not saying no, but it was also being more conscious of what is it that I'm eating after we started working together. I realized that when I'm hungry, I love fruits. I reach for things that are sweet. And I mean, yes, they're good and natural, but I could live on fruits and not have any protein. I also realized I don't like protein. I have to force myself to eat protein. Now I do because I've been working with you for all this time. But before, I'm just like, yeah, I don't want protein. Like, yeah, fruits are good. Give me apples, mangoes. I'm good with that. And now I don't feel deprived of anything. So, yes, there was a phase, but it was also a conscious, like, I knew this is what was going to happen when we first started. So then when we had the phase of eat whatever you can, I was, it was fine. I was eating normally and knowing that, okay, for the next 3 weeks, I'm not going to have anything processed. That's the other thing that I also recognized. And I say, oh, processed food is not good. But I'm more aware of what am I eating that's processed. And so I'm trying not to go through like if there's more than 3, 4 ingredients in something, and if I don't know, and if I can't read them, then I'm not eating it. So
Mm.
it's really a lot of education that came with working with you. I learned about not just nutrition, but I learned about myself. And that's not even talking about the emotional parts, right? So I think the emotional part played a huge deal because I did have a lot of anxiety. And working with you, with just going through all of the modules that we went through, all of the discussions that we've had, that had made a huge difference. Even now, it's like I don't even feel stressed, but I'm also able to recognize, okay, why am I feeling? It's okay. I'm feeling this, but why? Let's think about this. Or I also hear your voice like, what do you need right now? So I do say that. What do I need right now? I find this part is kind of interesting because it's also working with you has made me think about me more and saying, okay, like I wasn't feeling great. And I'm just like, I need to sleep and I'm just going to lie down on the couch. And I don't care if I need to go to the city. That's too bad. So it's just making me more center me, which not in a selfish way, but center my health. So that's been a blessing. Like I feel good. I feel like so much better than when we started 10 weeks ago. It's not just that I feel good and I see it. Yes, I've lost a lot of weight. Like I don't care about that. Well, I do and I don't. I'm not going to pretend. But that's not my priority, as I should say.
Mhm.
It's not my priority. I just feel good. I feel like, yes, I can walk to places. I have more energy. I'm
Mhm.
not where I want to be. So I know I still have some time. It's been years that these things have accumulated over the years. It's not going to just disappear in a
Right.
matter of 10 weeks, but it's definitely visible,
Mhm.
not just to me, but even to like my friends, my family. They'll say, wow, you lost a lot of weight. Wow, you look good. Your face looks calmer, but even my demeanor is calmer,
Mhm.
which is great. I'm
That's
still looking forward to doing a lot more. I'm not
yeah.
stopping here. I'm
Yeah.
just very excited about everything that I learned from you with going through this program so far. I feel like I'm just starting to scratch the surface. It's learning about me, it's learning about my body, how my body works, it's learning about the science of everything else and how the body works. It's been amazing. It's been a real nice journey. I'm really happy with the results where I am right now.
Mm. I can't tell you how grateful I am to hear you say that because that's really my mission is how to make this your most powerful chapter yet. To hear you say, "Oh, I'm not anywhere done. I'm just getting started. This
Yeah.
is my most powerful chapter and we can live the best years in this age, but we can't do that if we're in survival mode and we're not eating, not sleeping, not having energy. So, really getting out of that survival mode physically to then be able to really embrace all that life has to offer in this phase. That's really my mission. And what would you say to somebody who's on the fence right now and who's maybe more stuck in that survival mode or maybe thinking, I can't do it? What made you decide, okay, I'm going to invest in this process and this is the right time for me?
I've always been a happy person. The glass is always half full. It's never half empty. It's always half full. And I enjoy life, nature, just hearing animals, birds, even going out with my family, doing things. It got to a point I'm just too tired. I didn't want to live like this. And I wasn't recognizing myself. So I need to do something. And as much as I love my doctors, and I know that they do a great job, but I think they weren't really guiding. Their job was very specific, geared towards a specific organ. There was nobody that was looking at the whole of me. You go see this person and they're looking at this particular part. You see this person and they're focusing on this part, but they're not looking at how are they functioning together? Like, how does that work? And I was tired of just feeling like, oh, accepting, oh, everybody goes through that. Oh, all women go through menopause. It's great that I'm going through it because the alternative would be not so great, right? So it's just another phase of life, but it doesn't have to be miserable where I can't move, where it's depressing. I don't have to just like curl up and die before I die. And that's what I felt. They were willing to take a weight gain. And again, I don't want to focus on weight gain because, yes, that was an issue for me. That was something I was also concerned about, but it wasn't the main issue. My priority was number one was to feel good and to be able to do things.
Mm-hmm.
But again, the weight that I gained was in a matter of months. And it wasn't because I was eating nonsense. It was just my body was holding on to everything, was holding on to water. And I didn't want to accept, like, oh, this is your fate. You got to deal with it. I won't accept that until I tried everything. I want to be able to look at the mirror and say, yeah, I see myself. I see this person who's energetic, who loves to go out walking and can walk and can play pickleball and all of these things. That's what I wanted to do. I didn't have that energy. So that's what made me decide, like, I'm going to go for this because I'm tired of being put under the column of you're in menopause. It's normal that you go through this and there's no medication. This is going to last, whatever years. And that wasn't a good enough answer for me. I was looking for someone who's going to say, no, there's a whole part of you. Menopause is just the phase you're going through and it doesn't have to be miserable.
Right. Exactly. And there's a part of you that knew that, but it's hard when that part's not validated and you're not finding anybody on the outside who's like, yeah, I hear you. I see you. I can hold that vision for you. But I also want to acknowledge you for leaning in 100% in this process because you went all in.
Yes, I did.
What it takes for the large part, that is what it takes. And that's why you're having such amazing results. And it's just such a privilege and an honor to have guided you on this journey, really. And
thank you. I will always be grateful to you for going through this with me because to me, it's like there's so many things I want to do. And I'm like, I can plan things now. Let's go hiking. I know I'm going to enjoy it. It's not like, oh, the idea of hiking is already exhausting me and I have to stop, right? I don't know how to explain it. It's almost like a lifeline.
Right. The very fact that you're thinking in that way is also supporting your physiology. We were talking about this earlier of getting you ready to go for that hike.
Yeah.
We create an image before we do anything, right? It's like images are so powerful. You're seeing yourself hiking, your body's like, okay, guys, let's get ready. She's going hiking. Produce that energy, right? And so it's such a fulfilling, virtuous cycle versus the opposite cycle that potentially you were in before when we're giving you labels and diagnosis and like all this stuff, right? And so it's really about getting out of that cycle.
Exactly. And I knew that it wasn't right. I had done a lot of research about what my body's going through. I knew I couldn't take hormone therapy. I wasn't going to take hormone therapy. So for me, that was out of the question because it just didn't work for me. The same way you go through adolescence and puberty, I think you should also let your body go through whatever it needs to go without chemicals to stop it from going through the natural phase of what it needs to go through. But that doesn't mean that you have to just sit and take all of it's not all negative. And that's what I felt. It's like people weren't recognizing like, oh, it's a phase and dismissing what my complaints were about what I'm feeling. Those were dismissed. So it's exactly what you had said. It's like nobody's listening to you because you don't fit in that box that everybody's supposed to fit in. And nobody fits in that box because we're all different.
Yeah, we're all different. Exactly. And by seeing it through the lens of different organs that you were saying, like nobody's putting the big picture together. Let's talk about nervous system. Let's talk about these things that are actually the red line, piecing it all together. And that's really my philosophy around menopause. It's a cycle of life. It's a rite of passage. As you know, our body changed so much during puberty and then they changed during pregnancy and motherhood. And now it's menopause.
Yeah.
Okay, so things are shifting, yes, but they're shifting emotionally and hormonally and physically, preparing us for this next phase. You know, for example, you've leaned into your pottery practice and things like that. Like that creative stage of our life is real. It's actually even supported by the shift in our hormones that we are able to do that. And so what a gift, right?
Absolutely. And there's no reason why I can't enjoy pottery has been my safe place, my happy place, my mental health place. This is pottery. This is for me. That's what I loved. It got me back to art because I do my stuff, yeah, but every piece I make, I'm carving and I'm painting. I think other people might have other things, but the idea that at 55, as if we're not getting better, I mean, I'm very happy. I've never hid my age. I refuse to look at ads where they're talking about wrinkle creams, where their focus is on external beauty. I'm like, I'm 55. I'm glad I'm 55. I have 3 beautiful children. I wouldn't want to be any other age right now than my age. I don't want to look 18 because I've been there, done that. I'm happy where I am. I don't want to go back. But it's just like you're always bombarded by things that we're not supposed to accept growing older. You're as old as you want to be. It's your mentally how old you are. It's not what your physical looks like. I'm having a blast right now. I'm really enjoying my life. I don't have any regrets about anything, but I wish I would have done this earlier. But then I may not have appreciated as much if I wasn't where I was.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you have to get to that point of I can't do this anymore in order to say, okay, let me now do things differently. You know, and I think as Einstein said, you always give the same inputs, like to expect different output is insanity. But we do that until we get to the point where we're like almost on our hands and knees and saying, I just can't do this anymore. That's also where we open up for like help and for outside guidance and for accepting that we can't just do everything on our own and we need some guidance. And it really starts with an opening on your end of, okay, I'm open. I'm no longer in resisting mode of like, this shouldn't be happening. I shouldn't be feeling like this. We spend a lot of time in that phase to like, okay, acceptance. This is the way I'm feeling, but I don't have to be okay with it. It's a very important turning point that we often have to get to. And often that turning point comes in menopause because our bodies are speaking more loudly and loudly, right? And so we've gone away with not listening to that for years because we put other people's needs first. Finally, at this point, we're kind of like, okay, fine, let me dig into that.
Absolutely. Also, we've had many conversations about the mindset too, your mindset. So I am very aware, like I'm very intentional now not to say the word should or shouldn't.
Right.
Even to others, I'm like, it's not should or shouldn't. Let's just think about that. The reset is not just the diet. It really is a whole body reset. It's an experience for the whole of you, not just the part that where you put food and where it goes. And, you know, it's not just about that. And for me, it was a major part of me getting better because it was really thinking about, all right, I'm putting myself first, my health first. I'm not thinking that I need to do this, or I'm just like, okay, this is going on. That's fine. So a lot of that, the breathing, the exercises, the calming exercises, even the humming, I can feel that it helped me on the inside. I've always been on the inside where you feel like there's always this kind of vibration, a nervous vibration, not like a nice one, internal all over. And that's almost all gone. I feel like very calm. Inside, my little antibodies, you know, the little warriors that I have are much calmer than when I started this program.
They're not so hyper vigilant going, yeah, we're out on the
Exactly. No, I definitely feel it.
That's amazing to hear you. I think that's really helpful for people to hear that it's simple. It's like you're having a framework, but it's just the accumulation of those simple steps and then having that framework and, of course, the guidance and the coaching that goes with it, I guess, because rather than not getting just a PDF with like, okay, there are things to do.
Because it was also like a therapy session, right? What was nice about it was the program, when we had our discussions and we would talk, I felt like it was designed for me. What works for me. And I think that's one of the most valuable things ever in the program. It was about how my household lives. It had to fit into my life. I didn't have to kind of figure out, it wasn't strict in terms of timing. It wasn't like, oh, you have to have this, this, and this at this time or this time. It was like, all right, let's see how your lifestyle is and where do we infuse this? And that worked really well for me. And I think if somebody is reluctant, they have to think about why are they reluctant, right? If we talk about the diet, there's a lot of food to eat. I wasn't hungry. I have a sugar addiction to cookies. But that was okay. It passed. It felt better without it, right? Vegetables. There was a lot of food to eat. I was not hungry. So I think anyone who's reluctant, I say they should just take a chance on themselves. Don't let yourself to be to the point of burnout. I was beyond burnt out. But don't fall that far so that your climb out of it is not more difficult. I don't think that we're used to putting ourselves first. I know I wasn't, because it always feels like, oh, it's selfish. Like everybody else's needs are more important than mine. And I think we need to change that, especially for women or caregivers. You know, caregivers, we tend to do that. And I think we need to change that mentality. Society just puts that on our shoulders, and I don't think it's fair.
Yeah, and you can't pour from an empty cup, right? There's nothing selfish about self-care in that way, because even if we do want to be there for our family and our colleagues and our community, but if we're empty, we can't be there. So it's for everybody's good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What do they say? Put your mask on first before you help a child.
Exactly. Yeah. Give yourself at least as much consideration as you give other people to sort of level the playing field. That's part of the hormonal shift as well, because it turns out the estrogen we're producing during those reproductive years kind of influences us in a way that to put other people, it's a very nurturing hormone to put other first. And then the estrogen we produce after menopause, because we still produce some, it has a difference. It's more of a creative estrogen. So learning how to embrace that shift and not being in the, oh, I should be doing this, I should, because that's the way I've done it, or that's the way society expected me. That's what your body is made for. And so, yeah, really about embracing the transition. So I love just all the words you're using about how you're embracing the transition and versus resisting it or taking on somebody else's story. That's not your story. You're like, no, that's not my story. You know, I don't want to sit there and be like, oh, this is normal because I'm in menopause. That's not the way nature intended things to be, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think this is the prime of our life right now. Not when you're 18 or 20 or 30. We're still like learning, and not that we're not learning now, but now it's like, I don't care what people think. You don't like this? That's a you problem, not a me problem. You know, that's how I feel about that. To me, it's more about you're being kind to yourself. You tell your kids, I mean, I tell my girls, that was another reason. It's just like my girls had a lot of influence on me too, because they were pushing me to also take care of myself. And they would say, like, you keep telling us we need to take care of ourselves. We need to take time out. All of the things that I wasn't doing for me, I was telling them to do for themselves. Like, you're tired, listen to your body and go rest. You don't feel right, then just listen to your instincts and do what you need to do. And then they really just like, but you're not doing that for yourself. And then I really had to think about, like, wait, I need to model this for them. I don't want them to grow up and to think that that's okay to run yourself to the bones and not take care of yourself. That's not okay. Because I had to learn to say no to things. And that wasn't an easy thing to do. Like, I had to say no. I need to say no to you because this doesn't work for me.
Right.
And that was very difficult for me because I've always reorganized everything for somebody else. And at the cost of my own schedule, my own progress, my own feelings,
your own health.
And so I think that's one thing our little girls, young girls and young men and our children need to learn to take care of themselves physically, mentally, health-wise, and be more in touch of what they're feeling. Not go through this cycle where we're always running for what?
Yeah. Right. And modeling is so important, right? And it can be a big, big motivator for somebody who's kind of on the fence. Is like, oh, can I do this for me? Well, it's like, what am I modeling for my children? Because as you say, I'm saying one thing and I'm doing the opposite. Sometimes it goes into one ear and comes out the other. Like, the words are not really what they're picking up on, but what they're picking up on is, are you walking the talk? That's really powerful as well. I believe the world needs more empowered women.
Absolutely.
Right? That are standing in their own power, that are using their voices, they know, that are sharing their truth of our generation, but then also modeling that for the younger generation, that they don't have to wait until they're in their 50s to start doing it.
They need to find what fits them. They don't have to look like another person. They don't have to be feeling like another person. They have to figure out who they are, what they want. What was nice about this program, as we had many conversations, I think being prepared and preparing ahead for like what's for lunch, what's for dinner, and having an idea and having the ingredients, it makes it a lot easier. But I also noticed that when my kids would see me, and that goes for my girls and my boy, I'm weighing what I'm eating. And again, it's a lot of food. I'm weighing it just to know, like, what is it that I'm eating? And then they're kind of eating more like what I'm eating than what was before. So they're seeing more vegetables. They're seeing more raw, unprocessed things. Not that we had a lot of processed, but we all have our frozen pizza in the freezer somewhere. Now they're more like, oh, I like what you're having. Can I have some? It's helping them build better eating habits and recognizing these better eating ways. So it's a good thing to have. It's a good skill to have, to be able to choose, should I feel this? Am I hungry? Am I thirsty? Or do I really want a cookie?
Right. Be more mindful around eating, right? And so when you start getting interested in food and the ingredients and then discovering the flavors and all that, and that's going to serve them for a lifetime, because they're going to see their friends, wolfing down a pizza. They're going to be like, well, hold on, that's not food. Like, could I actually make something?
Exactly.
Yeah, an awesome benefit. And for people who are kind of worried about how's this going to work with my family and my family's eating habits, that could be an argument too, to be like, well, you know what? It's actually going to benefit the whole family.
And you know what? There's certain foods that I'm still not going to be eating because for whatever reason. But now it's like, especially when my son is cooking, he'll ask me, if I put this or that, would you eat that? And I say, I can't, I don't want this extra oil, or I don't want the butter. And I'm doing that for health reasons. If I'm going to have butter, I'm going to choose to have butter when I want to enjoy it, not just to be hidden in a food. I want to taste it. Right? So they'll take my portion out. And now they're like starting to kind of say, oh, I'm going to eat it like you. So I think that's a great thing.
Yeah. They saw the positive impacts on you.
Absolutely.
They're like, oh, I want some of that.
You're actually tasting the food that you're eating. So if you're eating like red meat, just enjoying the vegetables and the meat. So everything had a taste. It wasn't all jumbled together and just like, you don't know what you're eating. And for me, the program was very successful because there are a lot of foods that we eat in my household that most people don't know about. Like the lupini beans, for instance, and the pinoles or the black olives. And this is part of my cuisine. It's in our fridge all the time. That's what I would go to. Being able to incorporate that into the meals that I was eating, that was like a huge plus, because it wasn't eating, not that there's anything wrong with cottage cheese. I know a lot of people love it, but it wasn't for me. I don't eat dairy anyway. Like I might have it with apricot jam, as a dessert once in a blue moon, but it's not a staple in my household. And so it was very difficult for me to follow others. In the past, when I tried to reach out to like a dietitian or something, they didn't want to make things work for me. It was just like I had to throw everything out and eat this food that I don't particularly care for. And so there was no reason for me to want to continue with it. And I think that's a huge deal with the program. It wasn't, oh, you got to eat this type of food. It was really looking at my Lebanese food and the staples that we have and just incorporating all of that within it with the meals that I'm having. Like my okra stew. I love my okra stew.
You do.
So that I think is also not throwing everything out the window, everything about your culture, and then trying to adopt something that is not what you would normally go for.
Right. Yeah, that's a really excellent point. Yeah, the cultural adaptability of it. And I've actually run it in France, in the US, and Canada. And so we've adapted all types of cuisine. It can adapt in all those environments. And it's centered around you. What works for you? What are your what feels like home cooking to you, rather than following maybe a meal plan that already doesn't sound appealing. Right. And so, yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
And it is close to the Mediterranean diet in any case. So if you are eating in that way, that's going to seem familiar, right?
And it was also the first day we started, we were invited to a friend's house for dinner. And I took my own food because it was the first night and I didn't want to start off on breaking, what I'm supposed to be following, right? I mean, I was able to go out to a Lebanese restaurant and eat the salad and eat the kebabs. Also, it's not like I wasn't able to go and have a social life with friends. I mean, most of our social lives revolves around food. So that was also great because you can't just sit home and lock yourself and like, oh, I can't go out and eat. I can't go and have dessert. And with dessert, I was able to say no to dessert. And I'm a huge dessert person. And I didn't feel deprived. I didn't feel like, oh, I'm giving something up. I just like, yeah, no, I don't think it's a good idea for me right now.
Right.
And I was telling that to myself first because it has a lot of gluten. And I'm like, I'm not having gluten.
Right. But feeling okay with it. Sometimes we go with the flow because it's a little easier. During this period, it's like, okay, hold on a second. I'm like investing my time, my money, like everything into this program. So I got to show up for myself.
Exactly.
Show up for myself. And that alone is already you're building that muscle of showing up for yourself and to say, you know what, actually, no, I don't want that dessert. And what happened? Well, nothing. They said, okay.
Exactly.
Nothing happened. They're still friends with you, Yeah.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And the best part is that I didn't have any pain. I didn't have any abdominal pain because of the gluten. I didn't feel restricted at all. I did not feel restricted at all. And I think that says a lot about the program because I've had to go to conferences. I've had to be at meetings where they're bringing in food. I've been gluten free for a while. So like when they say no gluten, no dairy for both, the program didn't make me stop. I wasn't eating it because it bothered me. Like there was one time where I was really prepared and I'm like, I made my own lunch and I brought all of my snacks. And when I went to the workshop, they had lunch there. They had lunch for people and it looked good. And the only thing I wanted was the fruits. And because I had my lunch with me, I'm like, I'm good. Another time they served the lunch and I'm like, all right, so they're being very considerate and nothing has gluten. But I have a lot of vegetables. I have a lot of chicken. They were all baked. And so I didn't feel like, oh, I'm going to starve and I'm really hungry or anything. I didn't feel like it was depriving me of social interaction or even foods. Because at the end of the day, if I wanted something, I would have eaten it. But I chose not to because I didn't want to.
And how did that make you feel? Yeah.
It was great. Now I know like when I need to be prepared, which is something that will always be in progress for me, right? Just kind of prepare like, what am I having tomorrow? This is what I'm going to eat. I need to figure out how I'm going to prepare it. And once I know what my meals are, everything else is fine. There's no problem. I fall into problems when I'm not prepared. The problem I fall into is I stop eating. And that's what I don't want to do. I don't want to stop eating.
Right. But now you're aware of the pattern
Exactly.
and you're able to catch it a little bit. Because when we're in balance, but then our patterns come out when we're a little bit more stressed or we're tired or we're busy. So now you know kind of what the pattern looks like in those times and then how to maybe interrupt because that's where we feel more empowered.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what? Maybe we will eat that cake, but that was an empowered choice versus I just got completely overwhelmed and lost my grounding and went with the flow, right? It's a very different energy. Yeah.
Definitely. And now what I notice is like, I look at the times like, wait, I didn't eat. Nope, we're going to take a lunch break now. And it's not a working lunch because I want to enjoy my food and I want to eat calmly. I don't want to eat with all of the extra tension and stress of, oh, this email and that email and all of that. So that's also something that I see a shift in my behavior because a lot of times I would forget to eat and then just realize like, oh, I'm feeling nauseous. I feel terrible. I have a headache and all of that. I was like, of course, I didn't eat and I didn't drink water because I was busy. And so I'm more aware of, okay, I need my water first. And I need to make sure when I get hungry, what am I eating? I think that's also a great thing to think about because you're nurturing yourself at the end of the day. And you wouldn't let your child go without food.
And water.
Exactly. But why am I doing it?
Exactly.
So I think it's a great program. And I think it really is empowering. It's empowering because you're not telling people what to do. You're just guiding them through how to handle the situations and recognizing, oh, this is when I fall. This is when I revert. And I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I'm just reflecting back to you. I mean, all this that you're talking about and all these choices you made and all these changes, like I didn't make them for you.
No.
I could have just given you a PDF and said, here, do this, right? But yeah, just reflecting back to you, how did that feel? How did we get into the situation in the first place? And, kind of helping you reflect on what works, what doesn't work, what your body
Yeah,
needs. So yeah, you did all the work.
absolutely.
Like I can't take credit for that. For sure.
But no, I really feel like the coaching part is I gained a lot of information from it. It's a lot of education on so many different levels, which is why I feel like I was able to make the choices I made because of that.
Because you were informed, you understood the why behind it. I do have those modules online for that. Some people not so interested. They just say, tell me what to do, right? But other people, and that's the way I am, I like to have all the background information. Then it makes sense. I understand why we're doing this. Why are we limiting fats, for example? Okay, let me understand why. Otherwise, it sounds
Yeah,
like I understand why. That's probably also what's different with this program than other program. The combo of having those modules, like self-paced, but also the coaching around.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's the type of coaching you're doing. My experience with other programs have been, oh, don't eat this, cut this out, and have this. And like I said, I'm very proud of my cultural cuisine. And we like flavors, and I can't eat bland food. Like, I'm not gonna eat that. And
Mhm.
so to have a PDF saying this is what you have every day, and this is for breakfast, this is for lunch, and you're looking at this, and here's basically the steps, you follow that. And that doesn't work because it's not catered to people. It's just another box and another check, right? And it's not something that you can sustain. And I think the coaching that happens in your program is completely different.
Yeah.
I say it's therapy. It really
Well,
is.
I mean, my view is that we all kind of know what we're supposed to eat. We all know we're supposed to eat broccoli and, green vegetables. The fact is we don't do it, or we don't do it consistently. So really the only thing to work on and to be curious about is why are we not doing it? And like looking at what's been getting in the way and taking us out of the game consistently. I have people who are like, oh, I'm just going to maybe go see a nutritionist or versus health coaching. Like, what is the difference? Like, to me, that's what I see as the difference, is that we're looking at that behavior change aspect. So kind of what's under the hood versus just do this. Is that what I'm hearing from you as well?
Absolutely. It's looking at the underlying reasons you're doing what you're doing, right? It also goes deeper than that. I feel like all of the modules that you shared with me, I mean, for me, it was specifically nervous system, right? And so understanding how that works and how it's affected, that makes a huge deal for me because now I understand what it is. You've done a lot of walking me through things, right? During our sessions. It's not just like, oh, watch this. And the modules were information for me, but there was more that you did with the guiding using the science. It's not just like, oh, hearsay. It's their basic science behind this. This is what you need to do, right? This is how this reacts when you're like this or when it's this. And what's the difference? I started to see that very quickly, the changes following, whether it's the meditation, whether it's the breathing, which I use all the time in the car, no matter where I am. And I think it makes a huge difference. You can't
Right.
go through life by yourself. And I feel like you were in a better position than where I was. And you're just giving me your hand to kind of guide me through out of the quicksand I was in. And you had your map. You had the map.
That's
Yeah.
exactly the role of a health coach. Some people are like maybe not so familiar with health coaching, like they know a career coach or some other kind of coach. And it's really that. It's to hold that vision. Like with first session we talked about is, where do you want to be? Like, what is your vision a year from now, 6 months from now? And you're talking about having energy and doing all these things. And it's like, okay, so I have a clear vision. You have a clear vision. And then my role is to hold that vision for you and then break it back down to, okay, what does this mean for this week? Right. And as you're
Yeah.
getting kind of like, you're hitting obstacles, of course, it's not a linear process, but it's
No,
overcoming those obstacles every time makes us a little stronger for next time, right? And just like
absolutely.
understanding and getting awareness, slowly getting you to that vision. Yeah, exactly. Holding your hand all the way to here we are. This is what the world looks like here from this.
Exactly. That's another thing about the program is that a year from now, I wanted energy. I wanted to be able to do things, right? And somebody else might not want that.
Yeah.
But you worked with what my vision was. If somebody says, oh, I want to lose weight, I want to be this weight or something, that's a different path that you're going to take them on than what you took me on. And I think that says a lot about something that you can kind of mold to people's needs rather than here's your smoothie, your green
Yeah.
smoothie with a whole bunch of other stuff, and that's all you get. I'm like, I'm allergic to that.
Tough luck. Well, yeah, it's not a cookie cutter approach. And that's the power of coaching. You meet the person where they're at and where they want to be. And it's not my map, it's your map. I just help you create your map up to where you want to go. And so we go and we navigate your map. We don't navigate my map. And so for you, it was
No,
around energy.
exactly. Even at the beginning, when we talked about how I always had that craving for sugar
Mm.
and I didn't know why. But you figured it out. Like we went through all of that. Like, when do you have it? And it turns out that there were three different possibilities for those cravings. And
Mm-hmm.
now I can actually figure out why I'm craving when, right?
Mm.
So there's a time I'm craving because I think my blood sugar is low. And there's
Mm-hmm.
a time where my craving is like, yeah, no, this is just because I really want something sweet. So
Mm-hmm.
let's see what I'm going to have
Right.
instead of the cookie. Like I said, throughout this program, I really did not feel like I was deprived.
You had other options. I mean, first of all, you figured it out. Like I didn't figure it out, you figured it out. But yeah, and then you also developed alternatives, right? It's like, okay, well, if I'm craving something sweet, maybe there's something else that's sweet and nutritious that I can have. Or if I'm just hitting a block in my energy, like what am I doing that morning that wasn't supportive? And often it would be like maybe you weren't eating enough and you were just like crashing hard at the 3 o'clock mark. That's really the root, kind of the detective work.
But you helped me figure it out. The thing is that what I learned from you is how to analyze what I'm feeling, but also figure out what's good at this particular time. I know that I wouldn't have been able to do that without you,
Mm,
even though it was all my map and my decisions.
right.
But yeah, I think it's a major education. It's just beginning for me. That's what I think. It's just the beginning of it.
Yeah, it's the beginning exactly of a new chapter. It's the beginning of, living this way. And what we're doing here is building a lifestyle. That's why it's not that restrictive, because anything you restrict too much boomerangs back anyway, right? Every force is meted by an equal force.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that's not the point of it. The point is we're building a sustainable lifestyle. But by breaking it down into these like digestible building blocks, then you can build on the new structure that you understand and what works for your body. So I'm really happy that we got to spend this time together and for me
Me
to
too.
witness that transformation. You don't know what that looks like from my side, to be able to witness that transformation from when that first conversation we had where you could barely make it out of bed, when you were feeling very distraught, of course, to where you are today. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm really thrilled. I'm very excited about what's coming
Mm,
and where I'm going to go next with the program. Because, as I said at the beginning, this is the beginning of the journey.
right. Now we get to work on, okay, all right, what next? What up for me
Yes.
now, right? Yeah. What am I going to create in my life that is going to bring me joy and even more alignment, more purpose? So,
Oh, absolutely.
yeah. Well, listen, Rabab, thank you so much for taking this time to chat with me today. I'm going to let you get back on the road.
Thank
Okay.
you so much.
Bye, Rabab.
Thank you. Take care.